D&D 5.5 has got some new content via Heroes of Faerun. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the general feats and ranking them on a tier list. Let's do this. First off, we have Cold Caster. Your ability score increases by intelligence, wisdom, or charisma, which suggests a caster. First thing is you're going to want to boost a mental save. So originally I was thinking this would be pretty good with the Winter Walker, for two different reasons. One is I thought maybe this could boost dexterity, and two, I thought this worked more than one time per turn, so you could run around, hit multiple different enemies, and then a whole bunch of enemies have a minus d4 on their saving throw. But as it stands, I think sorcerers are about the only person who can make really good use of this. For one reason, you can quicken and be able to minus their saving throw and then hit them for a saving throw right after quickening a spell. But the other reason is that this is based on spell attacks, and the person who's doing the best spell attacking right now is sorcerers due to their innate spellcasting. Overall, I can't say this is a extremely powerful feature. I think it's passable with effort. Going over our tier list, we got great without effort, great with the right build choices, passable with effort, bad/flavor only, and then dominates a playstyle. Next up comes Dragon Scar. So the Dragon's Terror benefit was ranked pretty highly in the Origin feats, and now we get to do it as a bonus action. This is very powerful. Here's a couple of use cases. I think the easiest one is a sorcerer. Not only are we more likely to be doing attack magic, we can then just bonus action fear every turn. And this bonus action fear is approximately between a first and second level spell. So that's a bonus action every single turn, 1.5 level spell. That's super solid. We can also throw it on the Fey Wanderer Ranger. Now the stats aren't perfect for that, so you're gonna have to adjust the build a little bit. But the ability to go for a fear as a bonus action, basically every single turn, and then chaining that to your reaction fear is going to be an extremely powerful combination. Then you have something like a cleric, where it's like, you're probably wanting to bump wisdom, right? But you could bump constitution, and you can do things like spirit guardians, plus this is a bonus action fear. That way they can't move towards you, and if they move away from you, they're moving at half speed for 10 feet of that movement, so you waste 20 feet of movement speed. I'm just seeing a lot of use cases for this is basically what it comes down to. I think it's very powerful. I think it essentially is a level 1.5 spell as a bonus action nearly every single turn. Hard to argue with that. But it is not good enough to say that it requires no effort. This is definitely a build around feature, and as such, I think it goes to great with the right build choices. Next up, we have Enclave Magic. In order to take this feat, you have to take the Emerald Enclave Fledgling feat, which is one of the worst Origin feats there are. It's going to either increase intelligence, wisdom, or charisma, so this is a spellcasting feat. I do like to see that we're focusing on spellcasting feats in this book, because those did seem a little lackluster in the player's handbook. So we can already speak to beasts, now we have advantage on convincing them to do stuff. The combination of these two means you can get beasts to help you really regularly, but how effective beasts are helping you is going to be very DM dependent, but I feel like it's typically on the lower side of value, because beasts aren't that intelligent. So yeah, they'll go scout for you, but they won't tell you details that matter. Through a lot of extra work, create Find Familiar. Okay, we can talk to a bird and then use Beast Sense to make it our Find Familiar in that moment. But there's easier ways to get Find Familiar. I feel like this has got to be ranked pretty low. And just like the other Emerald Enclave feat, I think it falls into bad/flavor only. I'm guessing if you're someone who likes new feats, I'm guessing you're also someone who likes a new subclass or new content. D&D Daily has released what we're calling Dragon's Digest Volume 1, which is the Haunted Edition. This is a 23-page book filled with content, includes a one-page one-shot, includes a pretty crazy boss fight, as well as a bunch of other stuff for you to enjoy. If you would like to support the channel and get some cool content at the same time, go ahead and look in the description down below. You'll find the link to purchase it, and it's really not that expensive, so I hope you enjoy. Alright, back to the video. Next up is Fairy Trickster. This is going to either increase dexterity or charisma. We get Fairy Trod Trotter. That's okay. I feel like it does come up sometimes, but it's not going to come up that often. Next up we have Flustering Strike. This definitely has use cases. One is, I feel like as a monk, this is going to be something you're going to want to consider almost every single build, because you can just punch someone, and then your second punch, or your flurry of blows punch, or your martial arts punch, any follow-up punch, you're going to be able to do a stunning strike, and they're going to have disadvantage on that save. That's a pretty freaking big deal. And I feel like the player's handbook didn't have a lot of stunning strike builds for monks. Most of them lean towards dexterity. This really screams that we can do stunning strike specialists now. But it doesn't really end there, because this is also good for sorcerers. You can do something like Chromatic Orb, hit multiple different enemies, assuming we upcast it, that's going to be more likely. And then once we hit multiple different enemies, now we can use this several times in a row, so a bunch of people are going to have disadvantage on a saving throw, and then we just combo that with an ally to be able to do an AoE spell. Alternatively, we can do an attack cantrip, quicken our own save or suck spell. So there's a lot of use cases for this. This is good, but it's not good enough to say it's easy to take. I do think this is a feat that requires a lot of thought, and as such, it's going to go great with the right build choices. Now the question is this or the dragon a better feat? I think where I'm making my decision on this is the fact that with the dragon feat, you also have to take an origin feat. Whereas with the fairy feat, you can take this with any origin feat you want. And so that makes it better in my opinion. Next up we got Genie magic. This is going to also be any of the mental ability scores. Okay, this screams versatility to me. Now, because we don't get bonus action or reaction, there's a lot of first level spells that we wish we could have, Shield comes to mind, that we can't have. But this does scream versatility. If you need Fog Cloud, you have Fog Cloud. If you need Charm Person, you have Charm Person. I actually like this one more than I think most people will, due to the versatility. This is going to be for somebody who likes to have options in any given situation more than it's going to be for an optimizer. An optimizer typically wants one option that hits a whole bunch of things. This is so many options that each hit a little thing directly. Kind of my perspective on this is Fog Cloud is the best option you have, and everything else is going to be secondary to that. And Fog Cloud is pretty much a catch-all in a lot of situations. I love Fog Cloud. I think this one's actually pretty easy to use. So long as you want a mental bump, I think this is a pretty safe bet. It kind of falls into the same place as Fey Touched or Shadow Touched, where it's like, yeah, there's not another good feat, so we might as well take this one, get some good spells. And it's like, Fey Touched and Shadow Touched give you a cracked second level spell, or at least a decent one, a solid first level spell, and so they might be more powerful, but this just gives you so many options. So yeah, I think it's on par with something like Fey Touched. I honestly think this one can probably fall into great without effort. You can throw this on nearly any, it's such a catch-all. It's such a catch-all feat that you can just throw it onto any of your mental builds, and it'll probably get some pretty decent value throughout it. So I'm going to put it up with great without it. Next we have Harper Teamwork. This comes with the Harper Agent feat, which wasn't the best feat in the world. It's going to boost either dexterity or charisma. Inspiring Willpower is definitely situational. It's pretty high impact when the situation comes up, but it's just not going to come up that often. So it really comes down to Withering Wordplay. And the nice thing about Withering Wordplay is that since we have the Harper Agent feat, we can use the help action at a range of 30 feet. So what we're up against is a cantrip. We have to beat a cantrip with this. And I'm going to say a level 5 cantrip, because we're at level 4, so next level we're competing against level 5 cantrips. So on average, I'd say that's about 2d8. So that's what we're competing against, is we're giving an ally advantage and we're giving an enemy disadvantage on their saving throw versus 2d8. I do think this is probably better than 2d8, but keep in mind, you can get that 2d8 without 2 feats invested in it. And once you consider that, I feel like this is just weaker than cantrips. It's unfortunate, because I do like the help action. I do like that we're getting support for the help action. I just don't feel like it's in a place that it's good enough that it's justifying its cost. Just like the other Harper feat, I feel like this is definitely between bad/flavor only and passable with effort. And just like the Harper feat, I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt, because I am hopeful about these support builds that are using their action to help, and see it used with bards, for example. But again, they have 2d8 around these levels, so it's gotta go passable with effort, arguably bad/flavor only. Next up we have Lordly Resolve. We're going to need the Lord's Alliance Agent feat. This is going to increase our strength or charisma by a score of 1. This isn't horrible, but I don't think you get enough bang for the buck for a feat. Most of it is situational. Even what you're getting, it's almost like, you know, if you really, really wanted that, you would go Paladin. You're getting basically what Paladins get naturally. So you're taking a pretty mid origin feat in order to get a pretty mid feat. I think overall, this is always going to be the unoptimal choice. And I think even with effort, this is never going to stand out. So it's unfortunate, but I'm going to put this in bad flavor only. I do think it's better than the Emerald Enclave, though. Next up, we have Mythal Touched. We're going to get any of the mental skills as our bump. So a lot more of these in this book. And again, I'm happy about that because those were the weakest in the player's handbook. Okay, the first thing I want to say is spell attacks are not regular. So there's going to be dozens and dozens and dozens of combat where this does literally nothing. So let's say it does something. You're going to be able to do this a proficiency bonus number of times a day, and it's going to be on this effects table. Now, some of this effect table is awesome for you, and some of it is terrible for you. Probably the worst is you get reverse gravity cast on you. So you might fall 60 feet high, take 66 of fall damage, and then when it ends, you fall 66 again. So it can be terrible for you, can be good. There's a couple options that basically eliminate their skill. A nat 20 gives you that, and then there's a couple options that if it's a spell attack, you can end up blocking it, or you might stun them if they're concentrating on something so the concentration just ends. So there are good outcomes, but holy crap, is this going to rarely happen. Not only is it not going to come up in most combats, but when it does, it might kill you. This feat is just bad. Am I going to take it on some builds? Abso-freaking-lutely. It kind of reminds me of the old Wild Magic where it's more like gambling. So if I'm playing a character that likes to gamble and let chaos reign, I'm going to take this, but it's bad. I don't even think this is passable. I think this is bad flavor only, and I think arguably it's even worse than the Emerald Enclave. Order's Resilience, we have to take Tyro of the Gauntlet feat. We're going to either get Strength, Wisdom, or Charisma bumped. So we have to take a mediocre to bad origin feat to get this. And when we get this is mediocre to bad. Pretty much just straight up worse than the Athletic feat. So I think this is basically non-usable. It's not actively going to kill us, so it's around here. We got a lot of bad flavor only, so I'm not exactly sure about the order, but this seems about right there. Alright, so the Purple Dragon Commandant, we need to get Purple Dragon Rook feat, which I put on par with about Lucky. But instead of you getting the bonus rolls, you're giving it to your allies, but they do get to use it after the roll. So it's maybe slightly better than Luckily, which is good enough that I'd say we're not sad to take it. Next up, it's going to be Strength or Dexterity bump, so we're going to be more of a physical character more often than not. Okay, so this one isn't terrible because we don't mind the Purple Dragon Rook feat, and this is a pretty decent feat. It's going to be supporting allies, and there's going to be interesting situations where you want to be bloodied. So like as a barbarian, for example, you can just Reckless until you're bloodied, at which case you don't have to Reckless anymore. So you become more tanky just naturally. I really actually quite like this on a barbarian. I think this is specifically geared towards tanks, people who are convincing people to hit them. We are giving our allies temp HP, and we're convincing them to hit us, so they're less likely to hit our allies, and if they do, they can take more damage. And then once they hit us enough, now we're attacking at advantage every single turn. There's builds this is going to be dope with. So for me, I'm putting Purple Dragon into great with the right build choice, but it does not compete with the Fairy or the Dragon Cult feats. Next up, we have Spellfire Adept. We have to take the Spellfire Spark feat, which was situational, but not terrible. We're going to increase one of our mental abilities, so another one of those. We're going to get Fueled Spellfire. This is so campaign dependent. Just ask yourself, is my DM somebody who is going to have 8 combats per rest or 2? If the answer is 2, you're not getting that much value out of your hit dice, and you can dump them all into these bonus actions Sacred Flames you're doing and do a ton more damage. A lot of times this is going to be a D6 or a D8, just because we're focusing on spellcasters, right? But you're adding 2d8 for every 2 levels you have to every Sacred Flame you're doing. So if you're in the right campaign, this is awesome. If you're in the wrong campaign where they're actually doing the recommended 8 combats, you need your hit dice, and you can't really use those hit dice that keep you alive to do a little bit of extra damage. So this is really hard to evaluate. It's either great or terrible, and it's really dependent on how many combats your DM gives in a day. We're also going to get Searing Spellfire. I think Radiant Resistance is pretty rare to begin with, so I think this will come up if you're lucky once in a whole entire campaign. So I basically ignore it as far as evaluating this. Because this is so situational, it can be anywhere from great with the right build all the way down to passable with effort. I don't think it can ever get so far as to be bad or slash flavor only. So it's going to go into passable with effort for me. Next up we have Street Justice. You're going to be bumping strength or dex, so this is going to be a physical fighter. You get headlocked. This is cool. I really like this. It's the opposite of the grappler feat, which gives you advantage. This is going to be for somebody who's like, I'll hold them, you punch. I kind of think of a barbarian who can get their own advantage. They're going to probably prefer this over grappler, but grappler gives you movement speed, and then if advantage really matters to you, maybe you're doing some sort of rogue grappler build, in which case you want advantage to get those sneak attacks, right? So it's kind of a competition. Which one's better? Grappler, some will be, and then Street Justice will be for other characters, and I like that. I like that there's some sort of competition happening at level 4 for what kind of grappler you want to be. We also get Sturdy Knot. There's a couple characters that can get a lot of value out of this. Thief, Rogue, and Monks. That basically sums it up. But between those, what's happening is they are restrained probably as a bonus action, maybe as an action, but then you used your bonus action to set up the grapple in the first place. And so you traded what's essentially a bonus action for them to have to make a action check to try and escape this thing, and now it's harder to escape. So basically what this means is they're more likely to burn actions on doing nothing. That's pretty freaking good. Situational, but very powerful. And finally we get Tough Talk. Quick little note Tucker mentioned here is that barbarians can often do strength intimidation checks, which this wouldn't influence, but I think most DMs would just ignore that. Basically, if someone's hostile to you, you know how to intimidate them anyways. Kind of ribbon will probably come up here and there. Overall, I would say this is definitely great with the right build choices. And it's in competition with the Fairy and the Dragon Cult. Definitely better than the Purple Dragon. Now these three are the competition. This one also doesn't need an origin feat, so I'm gonna bump it up a little bit. Versus Fairy. So I think I'm gonna have Fairy on top still and lean it towards the Street Justice as second up. All right, the last one. We have Zhentarim Tactics. First off, we're gonna have to take the Zhentarim Ruffian feat, which was one of the best new origin feats in the top 2. It's going to increase either our dexterity or our charisma. This is pretty relevant for this feat, because we're gonna get Retaliate. This is a level 10 feature given by the Berserk Barbarian, and it's a solid feature. You can mix this with weapon masteries, like Push, for example. And when someone hits you, you can push them back. And if they use their movement speed, now they can't hit you with their multi-attack. That's pretty strong. So it's pretty important that strength isn't bumped here, because now it means it kind of falls to more rogues, more monks, and then any kind of dexterity build outside of that, which usually doesn't have that push feature. Monks can get it with the Great Club as a monk weapon. With rogues, this means that we're more likely to get our reaction sneak attacks, which can be huge. So there's some builds this is going to be absolutely nasty with. We're also going to get Versatile Merc. So this is like the expertise feat, except we get to shift it to where we want depending on the day. So this is a strong feat. This is definitely great with the right build. Now the question is, where do we put it? It's definitely somewhere in this region. It's definitely better than the Purple Dragon. So we're up against tons of fears. We're up against a grapple build, and we're up against the Fae. I think it's got to go second to the Fae, because saving throws are such a huge deal. If you fail a saving throw, often it's like being dead. So I don't think it can beat out that, but I do think it beats out Grappler, that this is a lot more versatile, that a lot more characters are going to be able to use it. So here's our lineup. We have 1 great without effort, 5 great with the right build choices, 3 that are passable with effort, and then 4 that are just kind of straight up bad. I think overall I'm pretty happy with this. I would like to see those 4 on the bottom have little buffs, because I think a lot of times they're just going to be ignored for the most part. I'm typically happiest with these 3 right here. I think I'm most happy with great with the right build choice, which has the most options in it. which makes me happy. And then I'm particularly happy not to see any that dominate a playstyle. We definitely have some that are competitive with the Player's Handbook feats, and so I think these stand up on their own. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And with that, my friends, until next time, hope you have yourselves an incredible one. Peace.